Welcome to So Farscape.
A fun-filled Farscape fancast by a fervent fan.
And a fascinated first-timer.
I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
And this is the story So
Farscape.
Or I should say, previously on Farscape. Because we're in part 2.
This is a look at the princess. Part 2, I think.
We've got a lot to go through, so how about we jump right in?
Let's go.
Awesome. This is the second part of the Look at the Princess trilogy, which I did my very best not to call a trilogy and not spoil
The fact that there was another episode coming. Well, I will say that I did have a bit of a inkling about halfway, three-quarters through the episode. I was thinking, like, this episode feels like it's running very long.
Yeah.
And then
usually they're closer to a resolution by now, aren't
and
they?
then you get to the point that, it's like, this might run a little bit longer than I think it will.
But this was my experience as well when I saw it the first time. Like, I was used to the odd Star Trek two-parter.
Yeah.
And so when it was announced that this was Look at the Princess, or last week's episode was Look at the Princess Part 1, oh, cool, we got a two-parter. And then you get nowhere near a resolution, and it all just keeps mounting. And you spend so much time with the stress that they're all in, and then to be continued.
It did feel a little bit like a middle of a trilogy episode movie. You know how the second part of a trilogy always has a little bit of continuation of the first, and it tries to set up its own arc of tension,
right?
But it always has that feel of there is going to be more coming.
Yeah. You're never quite there. It's never quite resolved.
Yeah.
And it's particularly interesting in this case because I told you last time that it had two directors. These episodes,
yes.
Andrew Prowse and Tony Tilse, and that was because originally, let me see, I think it was just Tony Tilse. Oh, I don't even remember which one was the original director of the two-parter, as it originally was.
Right.
But it was a two-parter that ran pretty long, and by the end of it, they still had 18 minutes of footage, good footage that they just didn't have time to include. And so much later in the season, the decision was made, we're going to pad it out to a three-parter.
Oh, and they had to come back to it and reshoot or shoot additional material, I suppose.
Exactly. 12 extra scenes were written for that. That's why, like, the production number on this one, I mean, the last one was Season 2, Episode 11, production number 211, and this was 221 because it was only...
Oh, wow, that's quite a bit later then, yeah.
Yeah, so I've been sitting here trying to figure out, like, which of these plot lines were original...
Right.
...and which ones were added. Like, I think maybe the Moya stuff was a later addition.
I certainly felt that certain scenes, they were definitely taking their time. Mm-hmm. They were just like, a slow pan away from John as he is moping on the bed and stuff like this, where you're sitting there like, okay, they're padding now.
Did you feel that?
Yes.
Okay, no, that's fair.
Like that's like, or at least they're taking this is a little bit of general talk about the episode.
Yeah, exactly.
I felt that there was a very strong ebb and flow to the episode, which seemed to be very much aligned with John's mood, or not his mood, but his emotional state.
Tell me about that.
So you have just the way it's shot. In the first half, in the beginning, it starts out with a little bit of fighting and a little bit of conspiracy, and John is still, clinging to the fact that things might work out one way or the other.
Yeah.
Then there's the let's call it a frantic scene in space where John is basically flipping his shit, and it completely changes the way that the episode is. That it's shot, the action, the atmosphere,
cinematography,
the cinematography.
All right,
and then it goes back to the end of the episode where there is a certain slowness and at peace almost, even though he's after he's had his thing. So I noticed that definitely.
Interesting. Yes, I had the same feeling, but I was sort of captivated by the lingering emotional, like drawing out these emotional beats, these emotional confrontations between these characters, and like. I take a lot of notes when we're watching. My pen is constantly moving, and I just noticed at one point I was trying to write a new note that my pen was dry because I'd just been, like so captivated by a particular scene, and I remember so much of this trilogy, but I barely remember the middle.
Right, well, that's what I said, middle episode syndrome.
Well, but I was completely captivated by it. Like I didn't feel that any of it was wasted. Okay, so. Maybe we should just jump in at the beginning.
Yes. Let's have a few synopses as they have been submitted by our listeners.
Oh, damn. Yes, we have a format for that. Yeah.
Yes. Billy Roberts says, will he or won't he? That's the question. And an old foe shows up to pay his respects. Plus, Dargo has a confession to make. Meanwhile, Zahn has to face off with a Celestial who looks and sounds a lot like Rigel.
Did you get that?
Sorry, what?
We'll get to it.
Sounds like Rigel? Oh, it's the guy.
Yes, it's Jonathan Hardy.
Right, I had no idea. I've never seen Jonathan Hardy before. I was constantly sitting there thinking like, okay, WTF is Caligula doing here? You know, it's
He's fucking Welsh Caligula.
whatever.
Right.
It's like
Okay, and we have another synopsis from Wookiee, which is while Moya and Zan wrestle with God, Crichton finds himself learning new methods of space travel, then holds a pose that would make a sculptor cry. Oh gosh, yeah.
yes, that wasn't a good pose.
It was not.
Despite Dargo's best efforts to really, I really love that. Okay, so this is right to the end of the episode when he gets turned into a statue and Dargo just tries to make him laugh, lift his spirit, and it totally works. And he's going to strike the V pose, and then of course, yes,
it hurts a lot,
and he gets it turns into a horrible sketch that Han Solo would be proud of, or at least
oh yes. Unexpected there. So, yes, thank you to Wookiee and Billy Roberts once again for synopsizing Look at the Princess Part 2, I Do, I Think, which opens with previously on Farscape.
Prepare to starburst!
And we're treated to a montage reminding us of how we got here.
Previously on Farscape.
That there was an acceleration in the intimacy between John and Aaron that was deflated when she hit the eject button.
Yeah.
No.
Aaron.
I will not be a slave to your hormones.
It's you I find pleasing.
They have been getting it on the end of episode 210, I think it was. There was definitely some friskiness going on between everybody.
The body swap.
Yes.
Yeah, 209, I think. Oh, was it 210?
It must have been 210.
No, 210 was My Three Crichtons, where amazingly they didn't get it on with each other, which missed an opportunity there, Crichton.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So their relationship is difficult because Erin isn't being completely clear.
Or honest with herself, I think.
Honest with herself is a good way to say it. Like, she's afraid to admit this, and so they arrive on a planet where people communicate with their tongues.
2 drops from these little vials, and we can tell if our DNA is compatible for children.
It's a whole world designed for your rutting instincts.
DNA sample, I guess.
Oh, is that what the kids are calling it these days? Princess Mononucleosis approaches Crichton.
Please.
And it turns out that he is genetically compatible with her, despite the fact that her brother poisoned her DNA.
Boy, what the hell does that mean?
Right, and I guess that makes sense, because, John's not a Sebastian, he's a human, so Sebastians seem to be, hyper-compatible with everybody.
Yeah.
Considering the fact that we have a half-breed Luxon Sebastian and we have a half-breed Scarran Sebastian.
Yeah, very good point. And they are anatomically quite different. We know that for Luxons, they have 2 of everything.
Right, sorry, I thought you were talking about Sebastians and humans, but...
They don't have a temperature regulation gland, and they live a lot longer than humans, although it's not specified exactly how long.
No.
I was just wondering, 2 of everything, how many fanfics do you think that spawned?
Well, let's call it the Blue Mivonks one. And
okay, maybe something for the Patreon. Oh God, no, we're not promising 18+ fanfics for the Patreon, because no. Yeah, so there's a lot of palace intrigue, because here's the situation. Princess Catrala is heir apparent to the throne, but on the condition that she marries with a genetically compatible mate before her upcoming birthday.
Yes.
So that's the whole plot, and that's why she's interested in...
And her brother is...
Prince Clavor. Yep.
Yes, who is basically... He kind of wants to be on the throne, and he's got to deal with the Scarrans, who are helping him, and presumably helped him with the genetic poisoning of his sister.
Yeah.
Which her sister knows about, and her sister is kind of cool about, because... She doesn't really want it, and she's got her little side squeeze in the shape of the...
Councillor Tyno. Yep.
A subplot which I noticed was completely missing through this entire episode.
Yeah, yes.
She's completely given up on Tyno. She's making it happen with John.
Yeah, I guess we got the resolution to that when they were in the Garden of Betrayal in the previous episode, where he assured her that you must
exchange spouses.
But I love you.
Once again, David Kemper, just wonderful, wonderful word use. So I think she's taken that to heart. But there's a further complication, which is to stimulate John's interest in marrying her daughter.
There's nothing you can say that's going to make me marry your daughter.
Empress Novia has invited
Oh, hello, Crichton.
Scorpius.
Yes.
So either you marry my daughter or I give you to that abomination.
Which is a good, as we say in Dutch, stick behind the door.
Yeah. you've got the princess as the carrot and you've got Scorpius as the stick.
Yeah.
We see some of John's flashbacks to the Aurora chair, and he does not want to go with them. And we left John in the last episode getting decked in royal crimson.
Yeah,
is it?
it
Yeah,
is.
It's a little bit pinkish.
It's not entirely, I mean, it's not completely royal, because later on in the episode, the entire wedding party is also wearing red.
Yeah, that seems to be like a party color.
Yeah, and we
Not
have
quite sure.
Ambassador Australian Accent, who is also getting his red.
That's not narrowing it down.
No, I guess not.
You're
know,
going to have to be...
You know the guy with the beautiful hair who is trying to put the moves on Aaron.
Yes,
Apparently,
Dragon.
he has this great interest in the barren wastelands, apparently, which is...
Yeah, he comes up to refute. I'm going to explore the barren wastelands. And I'm like, is that a sex thing? Like, is
know.
that somewhere to lick?
Maybe
or?
maybe he's assuming that Aaron is a little bit more blue mivong than he thinks he is.
We last saw John in dire straits because his palace guard was murdered by another palace guard with
Yes.
a paper neck, and he was accosted by several thugs all dressed in these sort of Romanesque white robes, held down and being attacked with what looked like a flesh-melting ray.
That sounded like it was going to be so cool and such a thing, and it completely panned out to being absolutely nothing in the first 10 seconds of the episode properly starting.
Now on Farscape.
Because
there go my fun bucks.
Oh, that's right. You had a prediction.
As he is being zapped by this ray, in comes the squeeze of the prince.
Yes, Genevian Charto, whom we've seen as a bimbo hanging around like, oh, if you're not going to be king, then I'm not going to marry you.
Yeah. She has moves.
Flying kick! Flying kick!
She does like jumps all over the
House of
place.
Flying Daggers.
Snaps a few necks. Has an extending spike from her wrist, which she just like shoots up under someone's chin.
Oh, that's a handy little thing to have around. But gosh, it's reaffirming my idea that one of the genetic differences between Sebaceans and humans is that they have like paper bones. They're, like she's snapping arms and necks.
True.
And soon reveals why that is, because she introduces herself to John.
Genevian Charto, Disruptor, Peacekeeper Special Directorate.
And which department are you from?
And John, oh, I'm so proud of him.
Yes.
You should know I can't tell you that.
Yes, he immediately plays it cool, and she huffs at that and still tries to talk him into revealing a little bit more about what he is and what his assignment is, and that she admires him for having the dedication of being turned into a statue for 80 cycles.
Yeah, because she's a peacekeeper infiltrant whose job was to get close to Clavor and undermine the Scarran's attempt to get buddy-buddy with him by having someone... even closer.
I mean, she asked, so what are you doing here? And he says the same as you.
She's just rolls her eyes, trust them to send backup and not tell me about it.
Yes.
And he goes, yeah.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, they did the same thing to me.
It's so smooth. It's just like in Till the Blood Runs Clear when he just decides to be, what is a Butch and Sundance.
Butch and Sundance.
Like he just sees the situation. Okay, a line needs to be told. Frel it. Here we go.
And he knows how the peacekeepers think at this point, and he's
played a commando before, and it's worked to a great degree until Scorpius was there.
So after the break, he goes to see his brother-in-law to be.
You want a piece of me? Want a piece? Help, guys! Help! No.
God, and just slaps him. Slaps him on the left.
So
slaps him on the right.
I noticed that they really went overboard with the Foley on the slapping scenes in this episode.
They're enormously loud.
Yes.
Like, they're unsubtle. I wonder if it was like that on television, or it's just because there was a highly enthusiastic Dolby DTX mix.
It could be, but it's he slaps him around a bit, tells him off for sending murderous assassins onto him.
He's a total honey, that prince. He's such a wimp.
He is
a whimpering like.
So he was totally channeling Hugh Laurie there in Blackadder. Yes.
Yeah. You can't say. I got a little shade of Prince Joffrey, or maybe King Joffrey at that point in Game of Thrones. You can't talk like that to the king. Oh yeah, King Joffrey. And then Tyrion slaps him. Now I've struck the king. Has my hand fallen from my wrist?
Yes.
He just keeps on smacking that dude and like impressing on him that don't try to kill me again because it makes me angry.
So I got a little bit confused there. So in the background, as he's slapping the king around, someone is having a bath. And is that our peacekeeper agent?
What do you want?
Nothing, darling.
You know,
who is that?
Struggled with that as well because it's probably Genevian, but we can't really tell because she's not in focus and I don't...
No.
All the women's voices have Australian accents and I really struggle to tell them apart.
In walks our little... What's her name again?
She's called Rona and her species is Jakench.
Okay, just to keep it easy.
Yeah, okay. How does that make it easy?
No,
I just gave you two names.
I was being sarcastic.
Okay. So she walks in just as Crichton walks out, and Clavor tells, "Get mummy! Get my mummy!"
Yes.
Get my mother!
Go get the Empress.
Yep. Now, a lot of people give Crichton talking to. First of them is Councillor Tyno, who is joined by Dargo and Chiana, who... I
love how Chiana's being like dismissive and flirty, flighty.
You bitch slapped the trick.
She's amazing. She goes back and forth because he's claiming that he was attacked and almost killed, but there is no evidence about it because...
Apparently all the dead bodies have disappeared. There's no record of these people ever having existed and now not being there anymore. It's...
Yep. Because apparently Genevian used that same flesh-melting beam on the corpses and therefore eliminated them completely.
You'd still think that we suddenly have 4 guards missing. Nobody knows where they are.
Just the one. It was 4 assassins.
Oh, yes. But even then,
right?
You'd think this person who is cleared to guard the royal regent, you'd think that if he's gone, then people would go like, where did he fuck off to?
Yes, I agree with you because later on, the Princess Catrala is giving him a hard time about it as well. John points this out as well. Like, what about my guard, my special guard?
Yeah.
And Princess Catrala goes, he could be anywhere. What? Have you not read Dune? You should really look into this. Your borders are... whatever.
Speaking of the princess, she also gets into a round of bitch slapping with John.
She gets a bunch of smacks in, and they're also really loud. And this is okay. We've got to lead it in like step by step because it's fucking glorious. So Dargo is trying to convince John once again. He's being a very good consigliere. Calm down and just play this game. And he's on the side of Councillor Tyno. Mm-hmm. And Chiana goes back and forth between, you bitch slapped him, and
Well, it is a weird story.
You are not Chiana.
Are you sure you didn't make it up? Like, which side are you on?
No idea.
She's just having fun hopping the fence. And then
she's been having fun doing a lot of hopping recently. But
yeah. And then Councillor Tyno says, this is impossible because the Empress, and by extension the entire royal family, abhors personal violence. And in walks Princess Catrala.
Starts slapping her around like a side of beef.
Gives him a knuckle sandwich in the teeth. Because she is no fool. She knows that her brother poisoned her DNA, but she still doesn't believe that he would kill anyone. Now, John...
Technically he didn't, but, he's meddling with parties who clearly would.
There's a lot of smacking going on. John fails to convince her just yet. That comes later. But in the meanwhile, we cut back to Moya.
Yeah, there go more of my fun bugs.
Okay.
I predicted that they wouldn't show up again for quite a while, and no...
Hey, you swing big. This is the Farscape way. Like, we've seen that with the episode where big swings, sometimes you miss, sometimes you really hit.
Very true. So, Zahn is running around Moya trying to find the place where this divine intrusion is happening.
Where, pilot? Which way?
Yeah, because the sort of mist nebula that they're in has penetrated the hull, and there is a great shot as Zahn is running. The camera follows her, and she's running past one of the holographic clamshells. Like, a camera move with a hologram is expensive in 2000.
Yes, I can imagine that. The DRDs are following, hot on her heels, and eventually Pilot tells her that the intrusion is right there with her, and she has to turn around. And yes, we have Caligula standing there in his white brilliance.
Yes. He's called Kahenu, but who cares? He is Caligula. You named him right. And the little DRDs, the little scuttlebot, they scuttle behind a wheel or something. They're hiding. They're peeking around the edge. Like, me and my brother watching Doctor Who back in the day.
I really love how they continuously shot him in a cloud, and you never really get to see his feet. It's almost like he's hovering, or he's just this little cloud thing that is.
And they gave him sort of a fat suit to make him look like he almost looked like a sphere.
A little bit, yeah.
Right?
Speaking of Dune, he does resemble a little bit of the Baron Harkonnen, except that, like, suddenly white and... No, come on.
That is uncharitable to Jonathan Hardy, who is a handsome man, a portly gentleman of robust stature. Rest in peace, Jonathan Hardy. I mean, he's not like the blueberry, like, chewing gum eating girl from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. What's her name? Veruca
Salt. Yeah.
Oh, no wonder that came up in the synopsis. Okay, now I get it. What was this smoke that hazes around him? Because it has this. It's not steam. It would be dangerous to be surrounded by that much steam that close to your body, but it has such a particular texture.
I would assume it's just smoke machine smoke.
Does that look like that? It's so detailed. I mean, it looks like...
It kind of has to be, because it can't be dry ice, because dry ice settles. It doesn't rise.
Yes, correct.
Because it's CO2, so it descends and it doesn't rise.
Heavier than air, yeah.
So I would think it's just smoke machine smoke.
Wow, okay.
If you set it too thick, then it probably does that.
You set it too thick? Is that what they did with this builder, this god? Set him to thick.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Zahn immediately starts paying her divine respects to him, and he goes, no, I'm not your god.
Kalitana Nashpone. Kalitana Nashpone.
Be calm, priest. I am the ship's deity, not yours.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And she immediately clicks onto that. Okay, in that case, we're on first name basis now, and I'm going to talk to you like a normal person.
Yeah. Zahn's interaction with this builder, I was going to say Kahenu, it's Caligula, is fantastic. Like she says at one point, I've long ago made peace
with the idea that alien life practices alien ritual.
Which is something like we've never heard aliens talk about aliens because
as each other, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have talked about like the aliens being much more used to other people being aliens. Like for John, everybody's an alien, but the aliens here are much used to their being aliens, and they do different things and they have different values.
Oh, I like that. That's sort of what Zahn is doing. Like she encounters something that someone she cares about considers a god, so she's going to give the same sort of benedictions that she should give her own gods until he corrects her on that. That's very good. But yeah, the news is kind of troubling. Now, I didn't completely listen to this entire exchange because I was just captivated by the smoke, and in particular, Jonathan Hardy's eyebrows. Because if you look at the ships, those are his actual eyebrows.
Right.
You can see that Rigel was sort of sculpted after Jonathan Hardy almost.
Oh, so this is the actual... Because you mentioned that he got a different puppeteer in season 2.
A different puppeteer, but this is his voice.
Oh, so they kept the same guy doing the voice.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Just a different team. But
I also noticed that he was almost doing a Dr. Evil pose at the beginning. He wasn't. He was standing there with his hand. It wasn't quite like the pinky against the corner of the mouth, but it was damn close to it.
He's got a lovely outfit. It's very sort of Greek inspired. He's got a laurel wreath made out of like copper or gold around his head. He's got these epaulets and white. And for some reason, Jonathan Hardy chose a Welsh accent.
Okay.
He created these beasts as emissaries of peace.
Which is not an easy accent to imitate. I don't know what Jonathan Hardy's pedigree is on the British Isles, but it sounded lovely to my eyes. Welsh is one of my favourite accents of English, right up there with Indian English, which I also adore, and just this. I'm Moya's deity. Ooh, that really does it for me.
So, Erin is on the other side, not having things done for her, because she's sitting moping around a little bit, being comforted by Chiana when they're
having a girl talk moment.
I suppose, yeah. With
one of the lake of the... Sorry, yes.
One of the few times that they actually use matte paintings of the planets that we see around. This is a very Star Trekian shot that you get, and it's not something we see a lot on Farscape.
Right. We saw a lot more of that in the first season. Unfortunately, it was like we'd already finished recording the first season when Wayne Haag, one of the main like matte painters for season 1, actually noticed our tweet that we sent back in October. And you've got to check our Twitter. I'm going to put it in the show notes for this episode. Wayne Haag sent us a link to a YouTube like portfolio review that he did of his own matte paintings from season 1.
And
that's
fantastic.
Yeah, and shows you like this was the original photograph, and these are the layers that we put over it, like the Commerce Planet and the Gamak base. It's really, really
fun. Well, if
fun.
it's all about season 1, I'm dying to see that, because now I can actually have a look at that.
They're having some girl talk, and once again, Chiana is repeating to Aaron, "You're doing this wrong. You haven't told him how you feel." Oh.
He knows what he needs to know.
No, he's a guy.
Yeah.
Look, Aaron, all men are stupid, okay?
Yes.
If you want him to know something, you have to say it.
Talking of men of stupid...
Yes, in comes Dragon, played by... I said his name last time. He also played Bital, because he's just a very sexy man.
Again, Barren Wastelands, would you like to come join me? And Aaron shoots him down for the umpteenth time.
Yes, and she gives him...
Don't feel bad. It's not you. It's me. I don't like you.
I don't like you.
It's such a good line.
That is such a put
You were
on.
cackling. It was great. He offers her his little vial of compatibility and she tosses it. And
right into the leg.
It's not you, it's me. I don't like you. That line stuck with me. Now, at that moment, I was an edgier young man in 2000. I thought, I'm definitely going to use that. I've, of course, never used that because it's incredibly savage.
It is. Back in the palace, John and the princess are having a little heart-to-heart where she's still having a hard time believing the fact that someone would actually go in and murder him.
Yeah, what about the guard? He could be anywhere.
Yes.
Yeah,
but this mysterious floating sphere comes in and she goes, "Is that one of yours?" And I've never seen it before.
Well, time to worry. Controller goes to the door, finds it locked. John remarks that Obi-Wan had one of those.
Yes, I caught that.
Except his is a lot smaller.
It's got these lights on it, and then he takes a swing at it. It dodges up and starts to emit gas.
A little bit of nonsense going on about them trying to get out. He tries to smash the window, but they are rescued by the assistant. What's her face again?
Rona.
Rona. Let me write that down.
Okay. It's lowercase R-O dash capital N-A.
Got it.
So through the haze, we see two lights emerge. Katrala and John are stuck down to the ground, which turn out to be her eyes, because she can illuminate her eyes.
Fantastic.
Great.
They don't know of an exit, but apparently they are servant exits, which nobody knows about, and the servants just
That's brilliant. Kay, that hadn't even occurred to me. Yes, there's the secret servant entrances because they should be,
servant should be unseen.
Yeah, wow.
Come on, this way.
Manages to get them out. They have a little heart-to-heart there. Oh, now that I see how you have rescued me, and now I'm willing to marry you, and I believe you.
It's because she believes him. She believes he's not a liar, so she can marry him again. Because that was her big thing.
The Empress, in the meantime, is not as convinced, even though she is confronted with the object of the assassination attempt, and Rigel is completely in his element.
You may have once ruled 600 billion, but you will not besmirch my son's name.
Aren't we past that, Novia? You posture and deny any longer, and we both lose what we want.
If Crichton leaves, he will flee.
Not if you control the situation.
I loved this scene. Yeah. Rigel and Empress Novia, and just talking like two rulers, like two parents at the daycare sort of talking about how to manipulate their children into behaving well. It is fantastic.
I did think Rigel sounded a little bit odd here, and I don't know why. It's just his voice seemed a little bit weird.
I propose we tell no one, not my shipmates or your daughter. Let them all think that Crichton's disappeared.
It's Rigel in his element. He's not stressed. He's not exaggerating. He's not talking down to people that he considers beneath him.
Or sniveling or...
Right.
Yeah.
He is just like a ruler who is explaining what he thinks is the appropriate strategy and guiding Novia to get there herself, which is to send Crichton away, hide him away, let everybody believe that he's run away, so that the assassins will become careless.
Yes.
And he guides her there so that she can draw the conclusions herself, and then he goes,
Precisely. You are most wise, Empress.
And you are most manipulative, Domina.
You're very manipulative.
He's loving it. He is their best negotiator. It's so great.
Then they wanted to get another bit of money out of the special effect of that little glowy tube screwing into Scorpius's head.
Yes. Because Ryder suggests that, we shouldn't tell anyone. How about that servant that you have, that Rona? Can you trust her?
Completely. Who also conveniently still has a ship full of wedding presents floating around somewhere in orbit around the planet in a place where apparently nobody knows about it.
That's from her planet. She's a Jakench, and there's a Jakench delegation for the royal coronation.
And she's apparently one of the wedding presents, which seems a bit weird that someone who's just arrived is suddenly in such a trusted, important place of tending to not just John, but also earlier to the prince.
I wouldn't assume that that's the case.
Okay.
Because you're right, it would be nonsensical. And certainly for someone like the Empress to trust Rona like that. No, she says that Rona is beyond reproach.
Yeah.
So they must have a long-term relationship, which may be why the Jakench are welcome at the coronation. And so they sent a ship full of presents.
But Rona is not beyond reproach.
No, because she gives... Because Scorpius offers her...
The one thing she can't refuse... Money.
like Weaselton or Wesselton, or however you pronounce it in Zootopia. And Scorpius is so casual, as once again this weird sort of blue glow stick brain mincer is screwed back into his head.
It's so much currency.
As he's bribing this little Jakench, played by, once again, Francesca Buller, the Ben Browder's wife. She's very uncomfortable. Especially when he pulls her into his lap.
Yes. Gives her the money, sends her off, gives her some sort of tracking device.
I predict that very shortly you'll be the wealthiest Jakench in this part of the galaxy.
Thank you.
And I noticed at this point, Scorpius' assistant mentions that someone called Braca needs to be informed and activated. Finally what?
Finally he gets a name, because Braca is the lieutenant that we've seen before.
Oh, right. I didn't catch that.
My instincts tell me that your career may well be on the rise.
Okay, well, it has been a while since we've seen him.
Yes.
So he was on the command carrier with Crace.
Sir.
He served Crace first, and then later,
Sirs.
Scorpius, several times, I frelled him.
Right.
Yes, sir.
But he was unnamed. I kept mentioning that he was played by David Franklin because he hadn't been named yet. And now, finally, we find out his name.
Congratulations, sir.
So I was a little bit disappointed about that, because I thought there was going to be yet another peacekeeper infiltrating. I mean, that would have made it.
That'd be worse than on Star Trek Voyager, Chakotay's Maquis ship.
Yes.
Was anyone working for me?
The Maquis, yes. Everybody was like a bloody infiltrant.
Spies.
Yes.
Sir.
We see John going with Rona and someone else. Yes, a couple of guards.
The Empress's paladins, which I thought was a really cool.
Yes.
They're also above
and they're
reproach.
taking one of the Farscape modules to go to Rona's ship.
Moya modules?
Sorry, yes, Moya's transport modules. You're right, correct. Transport pods, not the Farscape module, sorry.
She convinces him to use the sort of ident chip that she got from Scorpius.
Do you know what this is?
Trans-sequence ident wafer?
Do you know what to do with it?
Yes.
Claiming that was a last-minute security protocol, and it seems plausible, so he does.
Yep. While they're on their way,
shot.
yes, we learn that on Moya, the god Caligula, or whatever his name was, has learned about Moya's ability to give birth to gunships.
Yeah, not by her choice, but we created these. Okay, so we learn a lot about Leviathans.
Yes.
Can you give me a summary of what you picked up about Leviathan origins?
Right, well, they're apparently created by these beings, let's call them. Let's not go with gods here, but beings.
The builders.
The builders,
is their species
yes.
name, yeah.
And I believe he said something along the lines that they were supposed to be peace envoys or missionaries
Emissaries
of peace.
yeah.
Yes. Which clearly has not really caught on very well. At least not with the peacekeepers. Control collars and all that.
Yeah, certainly true. Now, one of the things that I've always found interesting, and I wonder if you caught it the same way, was this suggestion that that they didn't necessarily create the Leviathans, but that they imbued her with a soul.
Right.
Because he even says that anyone can give a machine intelligence.
But we gave her a soul. Yes.
Right. So, were Leviathans like mechanical constructs, or even biomechanical constructs that sort of like self-healing, organic technology, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that they were given souls or like some kind of higher intelligence. I'm not telling you anything because I'm still very unclear about it myself. How did it read for you?
Ooh, interesting question. I hadn't really considered that. It seemed a little bit smuggish divine behavior to me from the guy.
Yeah, he is doing that.
He was being a little bit show-offy there. And a soul is a thing which I suppose it depends on your belief system, if there even is such a thing as a soul.
True.
Therefore, it becomes a little bit of a moot point. I mean, you have self-awareness and you have agency. And is there a soul? Is there anything? A soul generally implies that there is a afterlife, that there is or at least some sort of transitioning. Either the soul moves on to a different body, and then you have, reincarnation.
Right. Yes.
Or after the soul has done its penance or mortal time, then it goes off and does another thing.
A nirvana, or
Yeah. So that would greatly depend on the belief system that this builder is a part of.
But whatever the belief system is as regards the Leviathan afterlife, that's where Moya is going because Caligula has decided that she is to be decommissioned.
I am here to decommission Moya, to end her existence.
And she shuts herself down.
Zahn objects to this.
Yeah.
Rather strongly.
Vociferously. God, the pain in her face,
in her voice.
Barely restrained fury. Yeah.
Moya! Hear me! Whatever this Kahenu has done to you, it is not in your self-interest.
And so Caligula does something that he hopes will convince her. He gives Moya a voice.
And, okay, so this was not very convincing to me. Because, he's like, oh, well, if you don't believe me, I'll let her tell her yourself.
Right, yeah.
And then, of course, there's this voice goes, ooh, go, Moya, willing, going. And it's like, okay, maybe you're just making her do that,
Oh, fair point. I wasn't even that cynical in that moment, but yes, okay. By the time that you have that kind of control...
Yeah, exactly. Considering how he also earlier, when Pilot pipes up after he's walking past that holographic shot, and he just like waves at it, and the screen goes fizzes out and goes blank, and pilots don't talk to builders.
Yeah. Oh, and Zahn takes him to task.
A capricious deity.
Yeah, yes.
I love that arc. And I love where we're going next. Like, back in the palace where... Do you know how it sort of looks like a... I mean, I have a note that says spalace because it's kind of a spa. Everybody's got these robes on.
I guess that's how they roll here.
Everything looks like the cool-down room and the steam room. It looks incredibly comfortable.
Dargo confronts Rigel with, what have you done? Have you sent him off? And Rigel defends his decision. Oh, I had nothing to do with it. Like,
he didn't defend.
Lying little bastard.
Yes, exactly. It wasn't my idea. Talk to Empress Novia. It was her idea. Like, back to his old self. Because they can't find Crichton. None of them know where he is. Not Tyno, not their space control. Everybody's just missing him since the transport pod left their weather layer, which is a nice way to define
atmosphere.
Yeah, because lots of planets have different atmospheres, but they all have a layer where the weather happens.
And I love how Chiana is, again, flitting about in this scene.
Yeah.
And how literally Tyno says the same thing, which I was thinking exactly. Like, what was that about with Chiana?
Yeah.
What the hell's mana was that all about?
So everybody goes off to talk to someone. The Dargo goes off to talk to the Empress, I think, and or to Scorpius or whatever. All of that happens off screen. Aaron wants to go talk to the Scarran again, and Chiana goes, remember what happened last time? Let me take a try.
Yes. John, in the meantime, is having a heart-to-heart with Rona, promises her toaster.
Yeah, we learn about Jakench culture and how they disdain personal possessions, but this being Farscape, you've always got like a cultural trope, but the individual is not bound by it. And so like the only Jakench we know is the exception to her cultural predisposition against possessory wealth. She wants it. And she asks him what's it like.
Yeah, she really would like to have something.
He talks about his Charlie Parker CDs and his 62 T-Bird.
Yep.
And she asks him like...
Do you miss not having these things?
Well, not really. Things change.
Priorities change,
Yeah. Like this is... great philosophy. I wonder if this was written as a part of padding it out to a trilogy.
Yeah. It does add a little bit of depth of character to Rona, about especially her motivation for going with Scorpius.
Yeah. You see that she's processing it as he explains all this. You go, yes, Your Highness.
I shall remember those words, Highness.
It's John.
Yes, Highness, yes.
Yes, Your Highness. Of course. into the girls' bathroom.
Yes.
Where the princess and Genevian are
having a makeup off,
catting at each other while they're getting their hair did.
Well, they're both
they're doing their makeup. Yeah, they're right.
They're both fussing with their hairline.
Poor Catrala, so unaware of what it takes.
To be a slut, Genevian?
In walks Erin, who smacks him up against the mirror and has a little heart-to-heart of her own with the two.
Hello, ladies.
Let go of me.
I'm not disturbing.
Oh, let go of me.
Now listen to me closely so that there's no misunderstanding.
Tells them that, if either of you hurts anybody, you're going to have to deal with me.
Yeah, you can see that Genevian sort of has to, oh, no, wait, I'm still playing the bimbo. The bimbo. She's really furious.
Yeah, can't do anything here.
And so as soon as Erin leaves, she just goes back to doing her hair. She is undaunted by this. Much less cool is Prince Clavor when the Scarran approaches him again, and I love this Scarran. Anytime that he's in view, just
the way his lips move, it's amazing.
He's got big old fish lips.
Yeah.
Ooh, those are smoochable lips.
Ratty little goatee.
And they're interrupted by Chiana, who thinks that she can playing with the big boys now. And she cannot. She tries to walk in with a bluster like, I'm an Abari. You know us?
I'm an Abari. You may have heard of us.
Our navy can take out command carriers. And the Scarran is not
buying it, yeah.
And so she's trying to stay out of his way, jump over here, while continuing to look tough.
If anything happens to John Crichton, expect retribution.
Yeah, jumps up on the bathtub to make sure that she's a little bit taller. And
oh, no, it's all...
but she kind of flits off and... Yeah.
She knows she's failed and she yells Frel as she walks out. Okay, well, Frel that up.
Frel.
And now we get to my favourite bit of this entire... Well, the two parts of the trilogy so far.
Yeah.
The transport pod docks with the Jakench present ship. I almost said prison ship. I'm used to that in Farscape. We've got a beautiful, a camera mounted on top of the transport pod as it approaches and docks.
Yes.
It's a great shuttle shot.
Kind of thing that you expect from actual spaceships docking.
Yeah.
Although I noticed they have very quickly cycling airlocks.
Yeah.
Couple of...
good things you do a lot.
This place has an interesting smell.
A couple of paladins move in to secure the ship poorly.
Yeah.
Because they immediately get taken out by Braca.
Very good. Finally, the lieutenant is named, and he is a smug little bastard.
Oh, he totally is.
Oh, how disappointing you are in the flesh.
Oh, I get that all the time.
He manages to get the two paladins down. He captures John. He pays off... no, he doesn't actually pay off Ronan yet, because that becomes a bit of a bone of contention later on. But
yes, first Scorpius dials in.
Yes.
That will be him now.
The only one who knows the location of this ship, because both of them have had their ident chips replaced, and so they're registered as depleted fuel carriers, which is actually kind of brilliant.
Makes sense, yeah.
Oh, Scorpius says inventive, evasive.
In custody.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful word use once again. Mocking John, who's sitting there moping and planning his next move, which... he doesn't have much of a next move at this point.
No. Scorpius, I thought, in the scene was incredibly calm and collected. He's had none of his usual eager mannerisms like anxiousness. He was super in control.
Your admirable associate, Cardago, was just here to see me. Of course, since I have no idea where you are, he left feeling, unfulfilled.
That's how we've seen him the whole time during this trilogy. When he walked up to Dargo, when he embraced John, he's always got this smug little smile, like, oh, yeah. Still going according to plan.
John finds out that Rona sold him out, and the moment that Scorpius is gone, he starts getting into Braca's head.
Yeah. Because, okay, Braca tries to get him to comply. Oh, what, you going to shoot me?
If I have to.
Do me the favor.
No, not in the head.
No.
Scorpius wants my
in
brain.
the heart. Is it left? Is it right? And this is where he goes completely manic.
Oh, yeah. My right, your left. My left, your right.
He goes absolutely crazy.
Yes. And he's lying.
Yeah.
Like, I'm human, you're Sebastian. I get injured.
One wound, I bleed out. Oh, Officer Braca, what the hell happened?
Even though it turns out that humans seem to be a little bit more durable than Sebaceans.
At least our necks aren't made out of paper, but...
Yeah,
well,
they don't have weird nerves that if you shoot them that they die 2 weeks later.
Well, not nerves. We have other organs where they have,
enough.
but we don't have our sex organs in our hand, which is what John does, like holding Bracca's gun up against, like, kill my sex life.
You're insane! My sex slave! Kill my sex slave! Now! Quick, shoot! Just shoot!
And Bracca goes, you're insane!
Well, a moment before, he actually had the gun up against his groin, so, you know...
John Wayne Bobbitt.
Yeah.
Wow. Ben Browder he did an incredible performance here. He is just crazy.
Yes.
Yelling.
He's panicking. It's like John is completely panicking. It's like he's got like Scorpius looking down his throat. He doesn't want to go back to Scorpius, so he'll literally take any risk at this point.
Yeah. He's got no help. He's got no friends. And he is terrified of Scorpius.
And he manages to get Bracca's gun away from him, and while Bracca is like completely unsure what to do, manages to activate this ship's weapon systems.
Yeah, he just goes around and does and just pushes every button until the weapons are activated, and the automated peacekeeper weapons
go like, oh hey,
shut the weapons down! Oh, shut them down yourself, Bracca! Shut them down yourself!
Undeclared craft. You have engaged weaponry in a tactical free zone surrounding the royal planet.
You're not supposed to be here. This is a royal planet.
Stand down or you'll be fired upon, and they are fired upon. Apparently it's a sturdy ship. It can take
I was going to say,
quite a barrage.
Because these things, they're not particularly enthusiastic about shooting them, but...
Yeah, but we've got the Australian Teamsters standing behind the set, throwing all of their sparklers and...
More fight scene ensures.
It's honestly not much of a fight. Nobody's fighting with each other. John's just going absolutely mental.
You're insane! What? You just figured that out? I thought that was common knowledge!
Yeah, he ends up throwing Rona into the electrical panel.
Do you think he did that on purpose? Do you think that he knew that was there?
No, he was throwing her around, because like she runs at him and he flips her over her shoulder, and she runs at him again and he throws her in the side and it goes straight into the electrical panel. But you can see it immediately sobers him, because I don't think he meant to do that.
Yeah, she fries. It is a bad end for Rona.
Yep.
But nobody has a lot of time to really deal with it because those D4 dice satellites surround them and
are now
pelt
pummeling the
this
ship.
craft with these like spiral beams. It looked so cool.
Yeah, Bracca grabs the helmet and makes it out of the airlock after having another little interlude with John.
Yeah, well, John was going to space the both of them.
Yeah.
You didn't think I was going to go alone, did you?
And then Bracca, knocked him out with the helmet. Like, you can have the ship, but I've got the helmet!
Yes. John goes, I don't care, jumps out of the airlock himself anyway.
Ooh, interesting. I think he does care a little bit. Like, he stomps around like he's going crazy.
Right.
And he tries to communicate with space control.
He goes like, oh, I'm the prince, I'm the regent here, stop shooting. And space
but the console explodes.
Yeah, space control's not having any of it. Or they don't recognize him, or the communication doesn't come through.
And then what happens?
He jumps out of the airlock.
No. Stay with me. What happens now?
I guess he gets a calm sort of acceptance.
He hears Scorpius' voice.
Oh, I have that. So,
all right.
I actually have a note about that. Yeah, he
tell me about that. Tell me, because I'm fascinated.
I heard the voice, and I was like, okay, who is this? I didn't immediately recognize the voice.
Focus, John. Panic is unacceptable. You will survive.
And I wasn't. I wasn't sure if it was. I was pretty sure it wasn't his father's voice, but I wasn't sure if it was Scorpius or not.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, he hears the voice in his head.
And tells him, panic is unacceptable.
Yep.
You have to live.
You must survive. No. You've come too far to die.
I don't understand why that was Scorpius. Would have been Scorpius. Why... where that comes from.
Okay, on the one hand, I feel a little guilty for spoiling this for you. On the other hand, I heard Scorpius' voice. I think a lot of people would have recognized the voice. You were supposed to recognize the voice. So
I considered it as an option.
Yeah, I will never deny you knowledge that you should have should have to enjoy the show. It is Scorpius' voice who informs him that he has to live.
Why would his gut instinct or his self-preservation instinct be Scorpius?
Right? But that's what drives him to grab a gun and head to the airlock.
And jump out.
Never get off the boat. Never get off the boat, man!
And jump out.
And use the gun to propel himself through the vacuum of space towards the transport pod, which has been undocked earlier because the docking port needed to be free for a prowler, which was going to come to pick them up.
Very good.
He floats through space, does a little bit of shooty to get himself in the right direction, and manages
Amazing shot. Finally, the present ship is blown up, and the impact sort of knocks him the rest of the way that he needs to go into the transport pod, but he still has to climb the ladder, and you hear the heartbeat, and he's got his mouth open, but you can't hear him. You see his eyes are going red until he finally climbs into the transport, twitching and wheezing until apparently he gets enough air into his lungs to scream. A hard vacuum transit. I think this is honestly the first time that I've seen it portrayed accurately. Sort of accurately, because you have maybe 10, 15 seconds of consciousness tops, according to the data that we have from various animal tests and accidents. Humans have occasionally been accidentally depressurized in the space program. You don't have a lot of time, but like your eyes don't explode and your tongue doesn't freeze.
Although they did kind of try to put that in the earlier episode with the decompression thing. When his viruses started cracking in Dream a Little Dream.
Yes.
I think.
Very good.
It was Dream a Little Dream,
That was Zan's dream. Maybe she doesn't know. Maybe Zan. Maybe she's used to how peacekeepers respond to vacuum, which is exploding like a balloon.
Yes, I mean...
Speaking of Zan...
yes, she's on board a dying Moya, I suppose. Demands that Caligula come and address her.
Kahenu, present yourself!
He calls it unpriestly conduct. She threatens him, and he disappears from where she's pointing the gun and reappears behind her.
Reappears on the other side. She pleads for him that Pilot is going to die.
That's right.
She pleads with him to have them build another ship for Pilot to transit, and he goes, it's not of our concern. We're not inclined to do that.
Yeah.
I am disinclined to acquiesce to your request.
We are not prepared to do more than we have. I should say goodbye before it is too late.
Once again, that lovely Welsh accent. We are not prepared to do more than we have already done.
John is back on the planet, and
he's getting a facial.
At this point, I don't think the prop department is even trying, because this is just...
Oh!
No, come on. This is literally just a transparent face mask with blue LED stuck onto it.
Yes!
It's just...
That's sci-fi! Have you seen Doctor Who?
I suppose I was just underwhelmed by this display. It's like
I'm going to jump in and defend it, and I'm going to consider it consistent with the technology that we've seen on this wealthy, well-to-do, technologically advanced planet. That all of their technology is subdued, and they want it out of the way. So if they have some kind of facial reparative technology, you'd still want to see your face through it. You'd want the technology almost to dissolve into the world around it. This is me being very charitable,
but it is literally what it looks like. It's like a transparent face masks with blue LEDs and wiring. It's all still visible. It's literally, It
didn't bother... No, your judgment is entirely your own. We have Dargo sitting beside him, showing a lot of boob, basically. Man boob, his pecs are always proudly on display, but they're beautifully lit here. He's showing off his double Ds. And he's telling Crichton, once again, these are your options. You can run, you can stay.
Either way, I'll back whatever you do.
I'll support you.
Yep.
This is the relationship they have now.
Erin walks in, kind of observes what's going on in the talk between Dargo and John.
Dargo gives them some space.
I'm very proud of you.
Why?
Being Crichton. Crichton I always knew.
Yeah.
And they have the first proper conversation, because all of the conversations that they had last time were they were ineffectual. Crichton was asking for an alternative than Erin's judgment, and Erin only had judgment. And now they're really talking about how they feel. Erin still doesn't have a concrete alternative, except John asks her the question, what do you do when there's no more fighting you?
Yeah.
And she, a warrior, a soldier, says,
you run away.
And he goes, run, you and me. And she goes, all of us together, which is clearly the wrong answer at this point.
It's the wrong answer.
Yeah.
He still can't, and he just falls back. He can't fight anymore. And she's disappointed after she said how proud she was of him.
Yeah.
For fighting and for not giving up and for surviving the incredible odds of being stuck on a derelict spaceship with no way off, under attack from all sides.
Was I wrong? You're no longer the Crichton I knew?
She goes to Count Australian accent and basically invites him to the barren wastelands to have a little bit of...
Is that what they're calling it these days?
Yes. And he goes running after her. Then we get that shot what I was talking about, where just like John moping and the camera shot pulling out from him, which kind of felt a little bit like scene padding to me.
I get you. I loved it. I loved that we really got to spend time, because this was the moment where my pen dried up and I was just, and it's like, I've joked about Australian soap operas. They're great. They're gripping. Once you're into them, as my mother frequently was when I still lived at home and we were watching Neighbours and Neighbours. Everybody needs good neighbours.
Neighbours.
Just a little understanding. You can make a perfect day.
Never seen any.
Really?
Of it. No, nothing.
Okay, well, you sing Flying Doctors then.
I don't think it had words.
No, that's a different Australian one.
Zahn is saying goodbye to Moya.
To Pilot, specifically.
To Pilot. Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, she's in with Pilot. Pilot who is accepting of his fate.
Yeah.
He got to see the stars, which is
he
the
says
thing
it again.
that he wants. Yes.
I have seen the stars.
At this point, I'm sitting there wondering, so what are pilots called before they're called Pilot?
Yeah, we do not know. Well, it may in fact be like impossible to correctly pronounce, like their language is hugely complicated.
Fair enough, yeah.
Maybe they don't even have names. Maybe they have a scent. Who knows?
Good point, yeah. But it's like interesting.
We don't even know the name of their species.
They're always referred to as Pilot, and that's it.
The previous pilot. It's it's a great question.
Meanwhile, on the planet, the wedding preparations are in full swing. We are moving in towards the end of it.
Yes, there are, once again, no consequences. John complains about this for a little bit. This is the third attempt on his life.
Yeah.
3 near-death experiences in a day, and she's going to do nothing.
But to dismiss any particular party during a coronation would have long-term effects, as Dargo explained, which he in turn learned from Rigel. Like Dargo says,
Rigel's been very...
Takes a breath.
Excellent at teaching me.
Yes.
Wow.
He has a little one-to-one with Scorpius, who seems to still be undaunted.
Until he says, I asked for only one wedding present.
Yeah.
That you be banished from this planet forever. And you know what they said?
Yes, Your Highness.
Oh. And Scorpius goes, oh.
Crap.
Oh. And still that smile.
He graciously accepts his defeat.
It's like he's moonwalking out and sort of finger gunsing, like, eh.
Yeah.
And now we get the wedding scene. Now, I happen to know that this wedding scene, where, oh no, Scorpius is still there. He kneels. He sort of struggles to kneel.
He does. Maybe he's got a bad knee.
Do you know what I think? Oh.
Maybe it's all the rubber.
Oh, certainly that. Wayne Pygram suffered, like, he had an illness for a while, something with his digestive system. So maybe this was
okay, uncomfortable for him to kneel. Yes.
Oh, I don't know. But so yes, we get this wedding sequence where Princess Catrala is being walked around this room, and she's sort of brushing hands with everyone there. Once again, making great use of this one room.
Yeah.
Spending a lot of time there.
Which not only has it show you your baby machine, but it has also turned you into a statue machine.
It's a wonderful machine.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. Where the Empress asks if there's any objections to this marriage, and then they should rise and be heard. I loved Chiana's hairpiece, by the way, in this scene.
Oh, good. I had a note about that as well. So all the women wear these they sort of look like ice cream wafers.
Yes.
If you take out the middle bit.
Yeah.
In their hair. And Chiana has a tiara, and it's just great. They're all great.
And this is where I noticed that all the relatives and people involved in the bridal party, I suppose, are wearing red.
I guess that's a royal family sort of thing, but it's extended to Dargo.
That's what I mean. Dargo and Chiana and Rigel, they're all wearing the same red.
Yeah. So I guess he is his best man.
So who do you think the guy is who is walking the princess around? Is that her father that we've not seen before?
Right.
At all?
Maybe he was the previous regent consort.
Regent consort.
Yeah, well... Wishful thinking.
Yeah.
So the thing that I most noticed throughout this whole scene was there are aliens here.
Yes.
And they're kept out of view. It's really hard to tell them, but there is definitely a Sheyang.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen those in a while.
Listen, gasshole!
Okay, yes. Those were the pirates?
The fire-breathing fish people from the PK Tech Girl. So there's a Xiang there, and it's fairly out of view. Mm-hmm. There's a few other background aliens that have been background aliens before. One of them is like a mulleted, like dark-skinned, white-eyed, like sort of a white pattern around the eyes, like certain types of primate.
I suppose those are the emissaries of all the other people that these people have relations with.
I wish they'd gotten close-ups. I so wanted to see what kind of aliens are here. Because I've been wondering about these uncharted territories. They know a lot of these species. Mm-hmm. Like peacekeepers know about Scarans that are in the uncharted territories. Rigel, as we saw recently with the Halosian attack and the body swapping, managed to procure Hynerian marjules, a type of mollusk from his planet that he enjoys.
So after the ceremony here, there's apparently a move to a different room where there's more people involved, witnessing the actual hand fasting, I suppose, which is literally what they do. They have their hands against each other and they've got this little ribbon between them. And
yeah, I don't know whether it's another room or whether the camera just turned the other way, because I still think that it's the same room where apparently you can have a walk around in complete privacy, the sort of magical TARDIS room.
Yeah.
The hand fasting is a nice way to put it. And you see, like, Rigel is, he's just captivated.
He's in his element.
I smell power again.
Yes. He sees himself as the royal advisor at some point in 80 cycles' time.
Oh, wow, yes. God, yeah. How about having Rigel as your vizier?
Yeah. Oh, yes. You just have to like keep an eye on him. But
you could do worse.
Yeah.
You could do better, though.
Totally. Yeah. And after the marriage ceremony, there is like some heartfelt goodbyes, where especially Dargo and Chiana are encouraging John in his upcoming statuification.
Chiana gives him a hug and says, "I love you."
Yes.
Because she does.
Yes.
That's so wonderful.
So sweet. Yes. And the princess seems to have completely come to terms with marrying John and becoming the royal couple, because she says that as she steps into the statuification chamber that she will be waiting for 80 cycles with love in her heart.
Oh, bless.
Before she gets turned into a rather fetching statue.
Yeah, that was a bit of a sort of a panic moment for the props department, who had done all the life casts on these actors, cast these statues, and then they were getting ready to wheel them onto set, and then they realized, hair and makeup has completely changed the hairstyles since the last time that we had these sketches.
Oh, damn.
They're doing Greek hair now. Well, no, hold on. And they just very quickly recast a new sculpture that matched so keeping the sort of face piece, but okay, we're doing different hair. Okay, cool.
Okay. Yeah, a little cheap out on the transformation shot when they start putting the effect over her, and then there's a convenient
there's a column in the way
in there, and then now it's a statue.
Hey, it works. I respect this kind of. It's a continuous camera move. So,
it is.
And then it's John's turn.
Yes.
He gets a quick bit of advice. Oh, by the way, it's excruciatingly painful because it's only calibrated for observation. So try and be cool. And
yeah, that's the brother. That's the prince getting his last little dig in.
That was even Tyno.
Oh, so it's Tyno. Yes. Oh, you're right. Sorry.
I know they're all like brown-haired Australians. They're hard to tell apart.
Feel free to wake me up anytime, Dargo.
Well, now I can only speak truth.
Dargo has a little bit of bad news and a little bit of good news before John goes in the chamber.
Well, give me the bad news first. You're going to be stuck here for 80 years on a planet, and then you're going to have to rule forever.
Okay, and what's the good news?
Gianna and I are having fantastic sex.
Which actually cracks John up. And it's so great.
Seeing them laughing together is so wonderful.
Yes. He goes into the chamber, tries to do the V pose. I'm going to be your damn ruler, and he gets turned into a...
Yep, he's like a teenager on like Lollapalooza who thinks, I'm going to get my first tattoo, smiling for the camera, and then the needle goes in his arm.
Yes, sinks down to his knees, one arm up, one hand raised, and I think he's going to be like the statue standing there with a little tablecloth over him, because, this is like the senators are going to be standing there like, we have to look at this for the next 80 cycles.
Oh, he's like one of those Buddhist monks who self-mummified.
Yes, pretty much.
I remember that story. I think he was Laotian, realized that he was reaching the end of his life, and apparently it's a tradition among some Buddhist sects to self-mummify. And so for the last few of his days, he wouldn't drink water. He would only eat like bowls of salt.
Oh, the process is much longer than that.
Desiccating himself. But until finally he died while meditating and was just left meditating, and eventually, he wasn't perfectly mummified, so he started to decay a little bit. So, like, they used some of the donations that they got from tourists to buy a pair of sunglasses to put over his eyes because they were gross, and then the rest of it is kind of gross, so they put a shirt on him as well, and like put him in a chair in a corner. And then it turned out like a family of lizards were living in his abdominal cavity, which they thought was great because
New life, that's ultimate Buddhist.
But just imagine like going in there as a novice monk, as just inducted, and off in the corner is like Lao Tung or whatever his name was, in a Hawaiian shirt with sunglasses, gazing
they're going like
with like lizard coming out of his ears. So here we are left.
To be continued.
Yeah, how did you feel when you saw those 3 little words?
I kind of felt them coming. It's like at this point you're sitting there going, okay, the pace is wrong, there's not going to be a resolution. So you kind of know that it's going to happen.
Something new would have had to be introduced here already for...
Because like I said, I was like about 2/3 into the episode, I was going like, okay, there's something off here. The pacing's not right.
You start to feel it, right?
Yes.
Because you used to... I mean, a cat has no concept of time, but she knows that this is around the time where she would normally
get fed. Yes.
Oh, I saw some advice recently from someone. When you have to take medication at a certain time, take your medication and give your cat a treat. Because if you ever forget, your cat won't.
Yeah, the cat will remind you that, it's treat time.
It's treat time. And so, I've got to take my meds.
Yeah.
Very clever. What did you think of this episode?
I think it suffered a little bit from middle of a trilogy episode, but other than that, it was very well done.
Are you brave enough to cast your willies and woodies?
She gives me a woody.
She gives you the willies.
Oh, right.
Tricky, right?
Right. Well, my willy actually, and this is probably going to upset you a little bit, would go to John's spacewalk.
Really?
I did not like the way that was shot.
Okay, I can sort of understand where you're coming from. Like, there was a bit of camera wobble.
Yeah, and there was got some obvious green screening of him flipping about. And, it's like... It lasted a little bit long. He had a lot of agency. He could still see what he was doing, grabbing onto the module. The airlock cycle awfully quick here. It's like it just like I know it's a sci-fi show, and you're supposed to give those things a little bit of leeway, but in general, that rubbed me a little bit wrong.
Yeah, no, I think that's entirely fair. I'm not going to argue with you because it's 2021 now.
Yes.
We've had The Expanse.
Yes.
We've had it's hard to unsee that. I remember this. This whole sequence has my Woody, obviously.
Right, yeah.
I remember this, and I had never seen anything like it.
No, I guess not.
Right? Not in Star Trek, which has a much higher budget throughout.
Yes.
They had never done anything as bold as a hard vacuum transit. I'd maybe seen it at this time in Event Horizon, but it also wasn't scientifically accurate.
They do one in Titan AE, but that's a...
That is accurate
comic
as well.
Sorry, cartoon, yeah.
But
I don't
that
know,
is also like
earlier or later. I don't know when it was Titan. When did Titan AE come out?
99, I want to say,
right.
2000 thereabout. I mean, it was pretty much the same time, but same kind of concept.
Yes,
using some kind of propellant to push yourself in some direction. But yes, his accomplishment there was superhuman.
Yes.
Like a real human would not be able to keep it.
For a start, your eyes would immediately frost over.
Why?
The liquid would start to boil off. That's it. What would immediately start happening?
So you got dry eyes?
I'm pretty sure that fucks up with your vision. Also, your eyes, your eyes are also dependent on the transition layer between air and your eye. There's a different refraction index than between
air and vacuum.
And,
but it's like me taking off my glasses. I'd still be able to find the one car in the parking lot.
I suppose. Yeah.
No, I mean, sorry, I'm being flippant here. I told you I wasn't going to argue with you, but hey.
But yes, Woodies. Let's see. I think that would go to the scene with Rigel and the Empress.
Very good. Yes.
He's like smoothly... smoothly insinuating himself and trying to...
no, you're quite right. Yeah. That's really. I
think that was my
good.
favorite scene in this episode.
Oh God, I have so many other Woodies it's got to be the space one. Like, it can't be Rigel, even though that's right up there. Other one is, it's not you, it's me. I don't like you. That's also way up there. I'm having a much harder time with the Willies, though.
Yeah.
I think maybe my Willie is that the Scarron didn't get a lot to do this episode.
No, I suppose not. His plot has been fully exposed in the first episode, and we know what his plans are. But he's not really doing anything other than the gas sphere, which apparently was a Scarron thing, I think, or maybe it wasn't.
That's the hypothesis. We just don't know.
It was the prince who, obviously set it on his sister and John.
What an episode. I mean, it's one of the more melodramatic episodes. Where
quite, yes.
Have some lingering like synth violins like telling you the emotions. And that's the story so far, Farscape.
See us next week for episode 213, The Maltese Crichton, or Look at the Princess Part 3.
Yes.
In which, as the players begin to make their move, all of Moya's crew find themselves in danger and John is nowhere to be found. Which sounds weird, because maybe someone loses the statue?
That doesn't... Oh, dear. I mean, that could almost be a description for this one, couldn't it?
Yes.
I wonder if maybe it's an administrative mistake, or maybe it's perfectly accurate. I think we'll find out next time. You can find us at SoFarscape on Facebook, on Twitter, sofarscape.com, and wherever you get your podcast. And yes, we have launched our Patreon. That's patreon.com/SoFarscape. Once again, whatever you're comfortable with, it's totally cool with us. Like, tiers start at $1 and they all get the same benefits, and the benefits are all stupid.
Yes.
I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
So Farscape, so good.